Leadership is easy to admire from a distance. It's much harder when every discussion affects real people. Today's guest knows exactly what that feels like. Please help me welcome Councilman Terrance Adkins. Thank you for joining the show again. First of all, congratulations. And let me ask you this. What has public service taught you about people that politics never could?
Thank you for having me again. But public service has taught me that things move a little bit slower, a whole lot slower than I ever thought they would. When it comes to what we do on the council and what people see, it's like most of it is a long time coming. A lot of the things that I got handed when I got onto council have been in the works for years. And I feel like a lot of times we think that we can just turn the page and something happens. But there's a lot of bureaucracy, I guess you could say, when it comes to what actually happens on the other side of the dais.
That's good. Now, is there any beliefs that you had about public service that you changed your mind on about now over the course of the last 2 years?
No, I mean, I'm still, community focused. I'm still the voice for the people, voice for the community. The things that I've learned in my lifetime, I have brought them with me to politics, and I'm using those things. I'm using the things that people tell me and what I've learned and the classes and stuff I've taken over the past couple of months. I think it has expanded my politics a little bit more, but I don't think that my direction or my focus has changed around my personal politics.
Yeah, yeah. Has winning made life easier or heavier?
Being and standing in power and doing that, like I was always on the news and in the newspaper and stuff like this, and I could say whatever I wanted, what I'm saying? And it would be, based on community as well, but I didn't have any consequence or repercussions. But now I have to think of a larger body of people, as well as the city when I make statements and when I say things. So it has become heavier because, I remember the t-shirts with Tab in the liquor store, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And all of the things that we did to the politicians before me in office. So I have to walk a finer line being on the other side and being that representation.
That's a fact. That's a fact. I had to ask. Okay. On leadership, what's the biggest misconception people have about leadership, in your opinion?
That it's hard. I feel that everybody is a leader in some way. Like if in your home, in your family, in your church, in the community, you can be that leader. And there's room for other leaders. Like there doesn't have to be one. Like we come from people who had, Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and Fred Hampton and Fannie Lou Hamer, and all of these people were leaders in their own respective. So there wasn't like a singular leader. So I feel like that in this point in time, a lot of people are looking for that singular mono voice that kind of defines what the people are looking for. But in this day and age, we all have to be a leader in some way.
That's good. Yeah, that's good. Thank you. How do you make unpopular decisions when you know social media will criticize you?
I mean, I think you have to make the best decision for the community. For when it comes to the election, when it comes to what we vote on in city council, it doesn't just affect one person. It doesn't just affect District 1. It affects the entire city. So I have to take all of that into consideration when I'm casting a vote on, what ordinance we're going to do. And a lot of the things that we're doing are the mundane things, are like, the weed abatements and stuff like that. But I have to take all of that into consideration when I make my decisions. And I just have to stand on the decision that I made once I made it.
Now, your leadership style, do you lead more with conviction or consensus?
I try to keep a fair balance of both. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because conviction to me, like I don't want to make the wrong decision, but at the same time, I don't always know what the right decision is. So I do listen to people. And then I take, I do listen, I do read a lot. I do, watch a lot of videos on different things that come up. And then I try to make the best decision I can as a person. as to what I would do or what I would like to see, for the betterment of the community.
That's good. That's good. As far as the city, we'll touch on the city for a minute. If someone moved to Decatur tomorrow, what would make you proud and what would honestly concern you?
If somebody moved to the city tomorrow, I would be proud to say that we are, trying to move forward and trying to make things happen in Decatur that haven't happened in a while. We're doing a lot of things to bring Decatur up to the 20th century. So
That's
I could be proud of that. One of the things that, hurts is that we're not there yet. You know what I'm saying? So if somebody moves here, the best thing I can do is just tell them, hold on, hold your mule for a second until, we can get the things that we have in place, figured out and worked out. We have the rec center that's coming. We about to redo the interior of Care Matthews. We have DYS Center coming. We got the event center coming. There are a lot of things that are coming to Decatur that will hopefully spur economic development and other avenues that will, bring us up to par with the region.
That was a good answer. Now, I preference this next question with, I personally do feel like Decatur is one of the best cities in Alabama. But what's keeping Decatur from becoming one of Alabama's best cities?
It's a bit of everything. It's partly because we're right here next to Huntsville, but we're not right here next to Huntsville, right?
That's a win.
It's a win and it's a loss when it takes an hour to get there. You know what I'm saying?
That's because of traffic. They they expanding a new joint. It'll be done soon.
Yeah,
and I think that'll make a better and quicker, more safe commute.
I do.
Back and forth.
And we working on a bridge study and all of those things, but that does kind of hinder us a little bit because there should be an ease of access between the cities. You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't be as congested. And some of this stuff should have happened 30, 40 years ago, but it didn't. And, we're kind of here trying to figure out how do we move and grow. It's like, how do you fly the plane and build it at the same time, because Huntsville's growing by leaps and bounds. Athens, Madison, all these cities are growing. It's just, to me, most of Decatur is in one little section. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to the city, everything is right here. But when you look at those other cities, there was space inside the city where they could build. A lot of our building is going to have to come on the southern portion of the city. And until we can, develop out into that southern portion, we will be congested in this northern side of the city, which, that's kind of where we're at right now. We're in this congested area where we're trying to build and trying to do things. And we're also trying to expand, but it's a fight between the two of building on the inside and expanding out.
I've seen some new apartment complexes and, right behind where it used to be, I can't think of the name of the little pizza spot. It used to be a pizza spot right there. Gosh, I can't think of it. It might have been CC's Pizza behind there.
Oh,
with
yeah,
a little
on
laundromat.
Cedar Lake Road.
Yes, sir, with Cedar Lake Road. Okay, and even going further down, I've seen they're building a whole subdivision. My mom actually purchased a new home back there. And the city is growing. I feel like Decatur is the number one outskirts city that the people who are moving to Huntsville are thinking about. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As far as a better price, you know what I'm saying? And the commute. Now, the commute, I didn't think about that, Councilman, and that was a really wonderful point about the commute and the bridge situation, because the congestion right there is crazy on your way in or your way out headed to work in the morning. I used to work at Kohler, and wonderful job. They're going to pay you, but you're going to get some points because you can't make it there on time.
Yeah. And
when the weather's bad, you can't even make it there.
Yeah.
Our city might close the bridge down.
And see, I live right off of 20. So when it gets congested coming from 20 getting on the bridge, they coming through crosstown. They coming off the highway into crosstown. So that, that puts a strain on the traffic in my community, in my direct community.
That's a fact.
So that's something that we really have to work on as a city is, how do we get people in and out in a timely manner,
Yeah, and I think that'll bring more economical you know what I'm saying, structure to the city.
Yeah.
I think that'll bring a different bag to the city. Anyway, got to move past that one. Thank you for that answer. I didn't even think about anything that you talked about. That's why I had to ask it. Last question on the city. What's one problem citizens complain about that government alone cannot solve?
That's a good question. I think one with the grocery store situation in District 1. A lot of people think that we can just like go out and build a grocery store, but that's something that the city doesn't build. You know what I'm saying? We can go out and solicit. We can make incentives. We can incentivize them coming to a particular area. And, that's some of the things that I had to learn on the other side. Like I just thought like I'll get in there and they'll have a, list of suppliers that I could pick from and put in a particular area, but that's not true.
That's a private situation right there as far as a grocery store, a local grocery store.
Yeah, so a local grocery store, but there are other avenues, but I want to make sure that, especially for District 1, that we get something that's sustainable. There are private-public partnerships that can be made in order to get these things, but I would rather have a food city. I'd rather have a Publix or something like a major name brand staple that's going to come to the community and that can sustain the community as well as itself. So that's kind of been a slow roll with what we have going on because there was a particular grocery store that wanted to come to Decatur and we wanted them to come to District 1 particularly. And they kind of backed away because they wanted to go in another area. But, that's something that people don't understand. And another thing is that there are multiple projects that the city has undertaken. And some of the projects might be city projects and they might be, Decatur Utilities, for instance. So when you see repairs or things happening in one area in a particular way, it might not be the city, but because it's Decatur Utilities, it's kind of the city. So they look at it like, well, the things that the city handles should be handled in this exact same way. So there's a lot of, I ain't gonna say sleight of hand, but there's a lot of rules and regulations and laws and things that were put in place that are confusing to people until they get in and listen to everything as a whole.
Which appears like red tape from the outside.
It does.
And so now back to the franchise grocery store joint situation, just thinking it as a business mind, period, I'm looking for foot traffic. I'm looking for the economics of the community that I'm thinking about putting my building in, things of this nature, and that matters.
It does.
That matters. If I'm a franchise, I don't want to put my building in a community that don't got no bag, that other people are afraid to come to. I don't think we got those issues. But as far as economics, the foot traffic, the ability for the people to come, the age of the people. You see what I'm saying? Do they, that it's so many metrics that a company is going to look for and going to dive into. They'll get the information. They can find out ways to get the information, no problem. And so I can understand from a business standpoint, I can understand. I know it sounds crazy.
One of the metrics that I learned and I never thought about was growth of the area.
The ability for it to grow.
So,
over the next 5 years.
That's one of the things that I've been putting when I've been sending out these emails that, hey, even though, we didn't want Jasmine Trace in District 1. We don't need Section 8, any more Section 8. We're trying to keep the Stonegate era where it was at. So, even though
that's a fact.
We were vehemently opposed to, Jasmine Trace coming to District 1. That's something that I can use because we have a new apartment complex that's coming right to the area where we're trying to build. We have 74 houses coming right there. So that's something that I can use as a way of leverage to try to get, one of these businesses to come to the community. So I have been trying to do that. And it's a lot of learning. Like it's things that you think about that move and drive business, sometimes they don't, and you have to get really into that business mindset, that business acumen of what brings a business, what sustains a business. That's why I want a large box store, because a large box store is going to bring, the sweets on the side. They're going to bring, a smaller national brand with them that's going to be able to sustain. So that's what I'm looking for District 1.
And thank you. With the city, we definitely appreciate you and the work and effort that you have been putting in basically your whole life since I know you. I guess it's crazy. Just hindsight is the best sight. You know what I'm saying? You don't look at it like that in real time. 20 years ago, you see Terrance, oh, what's up, Terrance? And he got a lot of motion going on with the city, and he trying to help. It's like, this been a thing. And so thank you. Moving forward, just want to pick your brain on how you feel about certain things. How does understanding your history affect the decisions we make today?
Oh man, everything that I have done has been based on my history, has been based on, lineage and specific things. When it comes to Decatur, specific history. When it comes to everything that we did with Standing in Power is based on history. The symbol for Standing in Power is the Emancipation Oak, which is where they read the Emancipation Proclamation. Growing up in church, Michelle King, she would tell us, I can say it verbatim, it's good to know about Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and Fannie Lou Hamer, but you need to know your local history. Mm-hmm. So that kind of was put into me as a young child. So I've always looked to the former movements, the former activists, the former moves that were made to see where I can make, a different move. Not saying it would be a better move, but like we were saying, hindsight is 20/20. I can go back and look and see what it was that the Mississippi Freedom Movement did and see what SNCC did. And I can base my decisions off of the things that have happened from those movements. So my history, our history is tantamount to everything that I do, every move that I make.
It's a fact. That's good. That was good. Now, can a community move forward if it doesn't know where it came from? The other day I seen a young lady get kicked off of Love Island TV show. Nothing to do with this. Crazy. Mm-hmm. She had said the N-word and said, I'm too young to have known. I didn't know. So it was a young white lady just said, I didn't know. And so I know it don't got nothing to do with what I just said, but you see that they just don't know.
Yeah.
This don't got nothing to do with black community or white community. This Americans, I don't know what type of history they're teaching anymore at school, if they're teaching a lot of it or not. So I'll pose the question again after my rant, you know what I'm saying? Whether it be relevant to the question or not. Can a community move forward if it doesn't know where it came from?
And shout out to Alandria,
Shout out to Alandria. Yeah, she looked wonderful on the BT Awards the other night.
But my thing is, no, you can't. Because look at the country. When you have your history being removed from textbooks, you have it being removed from museums, when you have it being removed from TV, film, all of these things, when you have other people that are outside of your lineage playing your historical figures, that causes a misrepresentation of who you are as a people. So on the community side, when we don't understand the greatness of our community, when we don't know who Dr. Willis C. Stirs is, you know what I'm saying? When we don't even understand and know who Carrie Matthews is, you know what I'm saying? But we go to the center every day. How can we move forward? How can we have the next generation fight for a center when they don't understand why it's there or who this center is named after and why it means so much? I think that without a basis of history in our kids and in ourselves, we don't have a leg to stand on because we don't understand the greatness. Like when you look at your shirt, like if people don't understand Michael, and Michael, like, you know what I'm saying? And the greatness of them, how can you talk about music? How can you talk about basketball? How can you talk about boxing if you don't understand the foundation? So as a community, if we don't understand where we came from, we don't understand our people. Like when I was doing my genealogy, the prior 4 generations of my family all lived in. So all 4 generations, the past 3 generations, all lived in Crosstown. You know what I'm saying? Most of the black elected officials from Decatur grew up on around Madison Street where I live. You know what I'm saying? Like all of those things are important into building a person in a community and those things. When George W. Braxdale, when the lodge was knocked down, I was sad because I understood who George W. Braxdale was. I understood what the Masonic Order was. I understood what that historic building meant to a community, right? But when you don't know those things, it's just another building that needed to be knocked down.
Yeah.
So you have to have that basis of this is who we are and this is what we have done, so you can give these kids a leg to stand on. Like you was talking about, we try to hide a lot of what we went through. You know, I didn't learn a lot of this stuff. I learned a lot from my grandma. My grandma would tell me anything. I learned a lot from my mama. My mama told me about, you know, riding down the street and them having to cover her up, and my auntie, because the Klan was out, because of Tommy Lee Hines, my mama told me that stuff. But a lot of people, a lot of families don't tell those stories, and they don't tell how they were, you know, active and what they marched and they did all of these things. Like my granddaddy, he was out there with Tommy Lee Hines. Like, so that is kind of where I built me and Anissa. Her dad was out there too. Our families were out there, you know, as a collective. So we built on that. We built the Steve Perkins movement on the backs of Tommy Lee Hines, on the backs of the Scottsboro Boys, on the backs of the black people, the descendants of slavery, the slaves, enslaved people who lived in District 1. We built all of that off of their backs. So yeah, as a community, you can't move forward without their history.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Do you think identity is becoming more important or less important in America?
I think it's becoming, I don't want to say more important. I want to say it's becoming a prominent thing, right? Because a lot of times, especially keeping on the politics side, you get a lot of people of color type rhetoric, right? Or black and brown or marginalized communities. And now you see a little bit of breaking away from that to where they're actually giving people their just due. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because a lot of these people, a lot of different ethnic groups in this country have contributed to the world and, you know, other places, their homeland and here in different ways. And that needs to be, you know, discussed as we, you know, talk about, you know, policy and things in this country. So I think that it has become a little bit more important because the melting pot theory is breaking down, and you're seeing it break down every day. So now people want to be recognized for themselves. Like everyone wants to be an individual. This rugged individualism is kind of, you know, permeating a little bit more. And you see people going more, as immigration and stuff grows, people are going more into their enclaves with their own people, like a Chicago, like a New York, you know, where it's kind of like self-segregation, I guess you could say. Yeah. But you see people expressing their nationality or their identity, whatever it may be, a little bit more than you used to.
I agree with that. It used to not be like a black-white thing. It used to be a nationality thing or, you know, a tribal thing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But yeah, it turned straight black-white. Yeah, and I think identity is evolving, and people are becoming more conscious of what it really is. So that was good. Now, what's something Black America should stop arguing about and start building instead? What's something that Black America should stop arguing about and start building instead?
I think that we have to start building more political capital. We have to start building out what it is that we want to see. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of times we talk to a lot of vision killers, a lot of dream stealers, right? Instead of just doing what it is that we feel that we need to do. Like if you want to do something, like Anthony Burgess, he went out there, he got them boys every Saturday, right? Now he could have sat and talked about it and asked this person and that person, this person. Now he got up and did it. So I think that it's too much side conversation when work needs to be done in the community. It needs to be done everywhere. So I think that if we could figure out how we can start stuff on our own and then bring people along to sustain it, I think that is kind of where the move would be. Like, because like with Standing in Power, we built something that's based around police brutality. Now, in civic education, community engagement, all of those things. Now we're trying to reassess and see how it is we move forward in this moment to serve the community. Because what we were doing in that season was good for that season, right? And now we have to move and evolve and see how we can help our community. So I think that we have to come back to community, right? Like we say we want community. We will come to the Pines. Shout out to y'all for y'all event. You know what I'm saying? We'll come to the Pines and chill and hang out, but we don't really discuss what needs to be discussed.
Yeah.
You know.
Thank you for that. Shout out to Monty Johnson and The New Way Out. And you also brought up Anthony Burgess, his conviction, the fire that's shut up in his bones that won't let him be content with anything but what you see happening with the motion he has right now. Praise God. That should be studied. Yeah. And I do believe Black America needs more of that. I know that's a local example, but my goodness, you know what I'm saying? It shouldn't be. Yeah. It shouldn't be.
Yeah, and that's one of the things about that we have to start doing is replicating successful things across the nation. Like I started a program in church. We had this thing called Connectional Youth and Young Adult Week in the CME church. So I was the regional young adult president and I was the district young adult president. And I was trying to kill two birds with one stone. So I was like, let's have a kickoff where we bring both districts together and we have just, like talent show, a couple speakers, whatever. And that like took off across the nation. Like everywhere is doing a kickoff like the Saturday before, because it's right around Super Bowl. So the last day is the quote unquote Super Bowl or whatever. But we have to start replicating some of the things that we see that are successful.
Yeah, I agree with that. You don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
You can look at who done it and add your own fly to it and redo it and voila. But moving forward, this is fun. Rapid fire questions. One word or one sentence answers. But don't limit yourself. Do your thing. Describe Decatur.
One word. Interesting.
Or one sentence. Interesting. Okay. Describe leadership.
It's easier and harder than you think.
Describe legacy.
I come from a great one.
Who inspires you?
My mom.
Wonderful. Biggest weakness.
Sometimes I think I'm too nice.
Yeah. What's something citizens would be surprised to learn about you?
I'm a pretty good singer.
I think we know that. We know that.
Oh,
we knew that. The whole city knew that. You tripping?
Let's see. I don't know. I've always been an open book.
Yeah, that's true. If this is your only term, come on. If this is your only term, what must you accomplish?
I have to get a grocery store. If I only have, 1,400 days or whatever, I have to get a grocery store in District 1, preferably on Moulton Street or on the upper side of Denver Road. Like, I have to, if I only have 1,400 days, if I don't do anything else, it would be to get a grocery store.
What happened to Piggly Wiggly over there?
Listen. Somebody bought it. Somebody, it was vacant. Somebody bought it, and they did that.
So somebody purchased the realty.
Yeah. Now, as far as the grocery store, I'm not sure. I was a little too young for that.
Yeah. I just had to. I mean, because you said that again, and it's making me think more. And I could do a whole pod just on that, but you know what I mean. I ain't trying to localize the situation too bad.
When you remove Stonegate, as bad as Stonegate was, when you remove Stonegate from that area, that removes a lot of foot. Like we were talking about foot traffic. to a grocery store. They removed a lot of people from being able to that income. You know what I'm saying? So we have to talk about displacement. It's a lot of things that were happening from, and that's just from my vantage point from the outside, being young. You know.
Yeah, that's a serious situation right there. And I honestly, my honest opinion, to franchises, I think it's a bag over there.
Yeah.
I think it's a bag over there, and I think it's good people over there. I mean, I come from over there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. I shopped over there. Yeah. And it also brings in Trinity. If we get a really nice grocery store, that'll bring in a lot of people from Trinity, which will increase the tax base.
Didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
You think so? Yeah.
So if we get something nice over there, it's for us, of course. But thinking grand scheme, that does bring a lot of people from the county into that grocery store straight on 24. So
yeah, you talking about economics, man, and anytime you bring up economics, there's somebody in the game that don't like, you know what I mean? It's unfortunately, being creative is not the only type of economics. The number one type of economics, unfortunately, is competition. And so the competition, just probably can't even see that happening, what you're saying, simply because we over here with it. They can drive over here and you see. And so, but I'm just talking outside of the top of my head, and so don't pay me no mind. Now, do you got anything in closing, anything that you want to say?
This has been an interesting journey, going from one side of the dais to the other. Being on the outside, looking in, everything, it seemed like a lot of things were clear, cut, and dry, and then being on the other side and actually going in and reading 300-page documents and, going in and writing stuff down and watching a video about it and doing your research on it, it turns out to be something different, and I can think as just a regular citizen, I can think about just myself and my family and my friends, but as city councilman, I have to think about everybody.
Yes,
I have to think about that small child. I have to think about a child that isn't even born that's going to live in this city. I have to think about that 82-year-old woman or man who doesn't have children or grandchildren that can come around and see them, and how we can make this city better for them, all of them. And, that's kind of a different thing, coming from just thinking about me and myself and mine, and then having to think about the collective, thinking about 57,000 people,
Yeah. Boy, I like my job better than yours. You know what I'm saying? I like going there, and I like all the labor that I do. I really enjoy working there at my job, and we appreciate you very much for liking your job more than we like ours. You feel me? Thank you very much.